Sketch one cycle of the graph of y equals 4 sine of 3 theta plus pi over 2. Let's identify first the amplitude, the period, and the phase shift. Once we have these, we should be able to get the graph more easily. Remember, the amplitude is the absolute value of a, where a is the coefficient of the sine or cosine function. So in our case, this is the absolute value of 4, which is 4. That says the max height of the graph is 4. The period, our formula is 2 pi over b, where b is the coefficient of the argument inside the sine function. So in this case, our period is 2 pi over 3. Then finally, to get the shift, there are several different methods for this. The one that I'm going to use is I set the whole argument, 3 theta plus pi over 2, equal to 0, and then solve for theta. So let's subtract pi over 2 from both sides of the equation. So we get 3 theta equals negative pi over 2. Then if we divide both sides by 3, we get theta equals negative pi over 6. So this is our shift. It's a negative shift by pi over 6. We should have enough information now to get started on the graph. So I'm going to start with my axis first. And I'm going to label the starting point, or the phase shift, the starting point of one cycle, is negative pi over 6. Now to get the end point of one cycle, we're going to take our phase shift, our starting point, and add the period. So if we take negative pi over 6 and we add 2 pi over 3, we get 3 pi over 6, or if we want to reduce, pi over 2. Now we need our three middle points in this also. So the easiest way to do this, I think, is to average these together, look for midpoints. So halfway between negative 1 pi over 6 and 3 pi over 6 is positive 1 pi over 6. And then halfway again between negative 1 pi over 6 and positive 1 pi over 6 is 0 pi over 6. And then halfway between 1 pi over 6 and 3 pi over 6 is 2 pi over 6, which we can reduce to pi over 3. Now that we have all those important points, let's sketch our graph. We know this is a sine. Sine starts out at 0 and heads upward, and this is going to peak out at our first important point. Then it turns around and dips back to 0 at the next important point. And it's going to head downward and bottom out at our next important point. And then finally head back up, and the y value at the end is going to be the same as the y value at the start. So it will end and start at 0. We now have the basic shape. Well, now let's label the height, the y-axis. So we know that the amplitude is 4, which says that the maximum height right here is at 4. And our minimum height is at negative 4. And so now we've got our graph. This is the graph of y equals 4 sine of 3 theta plus pi over 2.